one more question,
Yes.
which I often get from my students. I had a student who was very bright, but he would always make complaint. Like he was, I can say, quite impatient to learn this language. And he would ask me, sir, when I would learn this language, why do we counter this question? As a teacher, what are your experience?
In terms of speed of learning a language, the speed
Learning a language, yeah.
Fluent, I get the same question all the time. And that is a very good question, because typically as humans, we are very time oriented, and we want to start a project and we want to know, where are we going to be in 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, a year? When will I be fluent? Right? This is kind of the way our brains are wired. We want to know this answer. And with learning a language, it's the same thing. We have the same question. However, the answer to this question is a little difficult, because, as I mentioned earlier, learning a language has 4 modalities: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So the first thing is to understand your priority. What are you talking about? Are you just trying to be able to speak? In which case, maybe it'll be a little bit faster. Are you trying to improve your writing to get into a university? Might take a little bit longer. So you have to see there's 4 modalities. That's the first thing to remember. Second thing to remember, language learning is not a straight line like this. It does not, you don't start and get on the bandwagon like this. You might go ahead, come down, go up more, come down. This is the way that language learning happens. And in terms of how fast you want to learn, all depends, just like anything else in life, how much time you're going to put into it. If you feel like you are going to be studying in the United States next year and you want to really brush up and get fluent, well, then you need to commit the time daily to your English practice. If you decide you only need it casually and you're going to be speaking English just with friends in Pakistan, well, then maybe once a week is fine. So it also depends on your goal and what you're putting in, but you need to be kind to yourself and know it is not going to be a straight line. You will be progressing, but sometimes you might fall back, you might forget some things, but this is the way your brain is developing and growing with the language. So I know this doesn't answer your question entirely, because
No, you elaborated it excellently.
It's difficult to get that question, but the most important thing is, do not give up. Keep going. And I will tell you that if your end goal, if you are fortunate enough to be able to be in an English speaking environment, be it in the United States, in Britain, maybe even with a club in Pakistan that's English only, okay? The more you can immerse yourself in that situation, total immersion with English, the better you will be, the faster you're going to learn it. Absolutely.
You elaborated it excellently. I'll add to it.
Yes.
When that student of mine, who was a very bright student, would often ask me, sir, how would I learn this language? He was quite impatient. So I told him, look, my son, any other knowledge field of study, be it mathematics, physics, bio, or any other field of study, you can learn it in units. But when it comes to language, you have to learn it as a whole. As you said, it's not a straight line.
Right.
So this is why we don't get the satisfaction of knowing a unit of language. Let's say I learn about verbs. Where do I apply it to my practical situations? I get frustrated. I feel it's useless. But when you take any other subject like chemistry, you say you learn the formula, a scientific formula of water, H2O, you feel happy, you achieved something. It doesn't come with language. That's the problem, I think.
And what's important to remember is that even though it comes differently, okay, you still are progressing. So even though you're learning it in a different way, in totality, not like H2O, step, 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 you're learning language in totality. Even though you're learning it differently, it's important to remember that you are still progressing. What you learned today is still getting you higher than you were yesterday.
And as you recommended that, okay, as you recommended that they should practice speaking to themselves or join English club, whatever opportunity of speaking they get, they should grab it. Then comes a problem. Most ESL students, they are very much concerned with grammar. So while they are trying to improve their speaking ability, should they ignore grammar for a while?
Okay, it depends on your goal. First of all, there is a method of language instruction, which is communicative method, okay? Which means that, of course, you want to learn your grammar. However, it's more important, really, if you think about it, it's more important to be able to communicate your idea, even if the grammar is not perfect. If your verb tense is not perfect, or your whatever it is not perfect, it's more important to be able to communicate your idea and have a little bit of grammar be wrong. The grammar with your immersion experience, so for example, you have on English movies, you have English radio, you're surrounded in English, you will hear the grammar, and you will, in usage and speaking, you will adapt and adjust, and your grammar will, if you're listening, right, to the English speaking. Now, this is the communicative method. If you're focused, if you're in school and you have an exam on grammar, you need to learn the grammar. But the important thing is learn the grammar, learn the foundation. However, when you are communicating, as long as you're not being graded for an exam, the most important thing is just speak. Even if the grammar comes out incorrectly, it will, in time, the more you're speaking, you will hear it correctly and you will self-correct. Just like a child does when they're learning a new language. A child does not learn grammar. When you have a baby who's 2 years old learning how to speak, we are not teaching them grammar. But their mind, through the input, even if this child is learning multiple languages, they could be learning English, Urdu, Pashto, all of these together, right? And the child in their mind is learning how to put the grammar together for each language, and no one taught that to them. It's called universal grammar. This is what they're getting from the input. Our mind is able to do that. So the more input you get of English, this grammar will come into play, okay? So some people are studying grammar in isolation. I teach grammar in isolation because it is important to understand the grammatical points, to understand the tenses. It's very important, but don't get so caught up on grammar that all of a sudden you can't speak. Then that defeats the purpose. You need to be able to speak and communicate.
All right. Inge, thank you for your time. I'm sure my students and all the people who watch my channel in Pakistan and particularly in subcontinent, they would learn some important points from this video, which they will apply, I hope, and they will improve their English language learning process. So if you like, briefly, I would request you to tell us about your future projects in case if any of my students who watch our channel are interested in your projects so they can approach you.
Absolutely. Well, as you know, I do teach here in the United States. However, I find that it's very important also to be able to reach students who maybe don't have the opportunity to be here in the US. And so I am working to be able to bring this English or skill development to you directly. So my projects right now, I do have a small company called English Works USA. And on my website,
I'm holding you here, sorry. English Works USA. Do you have any website which people can search or find you on?
I do have a website. It's www.englishworksusa.com.
Englishworksusa.com. Let me confirm it. Do they have to write it all together? Englishworksusa.com. Okay.
So English Works, EnglishWorksusa.com. So if you look on EnglishWorksUSA.com, you'll see that I can offer personal one-on-one training. I can offer group skill training. If you have a conversation club that you would like with a native speaker, this is something that I'm trying, and my goal is to be able to bring this to you in your homes via Zoom online training so that it can enhance your skills. So this is one thing that I'm doing. Also, I'm very active in the ESL community in general. So I will be presenting at the PAC-TESOL conference in Islamabad. Once that is rescheduled after COVID-19, I'm also an active presenter in many different ESL conferences around the world. So this is something that I'm doing, and I hope that perhaps I would be able to help you directly if you have a need for specific skill development with your English.
That's a great opportunity for Pakistani students in particular, because I know you have a special love for Pakistani students and for Pakistani culture. Again, Inge, it was pleasure having you here. I will put your website link, if you allow me, on my description so people can visit it and learn how you can help them in learning English language.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure, and best of luck to all of you in Pakistan from us here in the US. And I hope to connect with you all soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.